In TFT, Titan's Resolve is one of the few stacking items amongst Guinsoo's Rageblade and Archangel's staff, but the way Titan's Resolve stacks isn't as simple as Rageblade or Archangel's because it's two aspects to the stacking: receiving damage and basic attacking. So, in this video, I'll explore both aspects of this stacking, what does and doesn't proc those stacks, and I'll go through some really interesting interactions Titans has with some abilities. Let's look at the receiving damage part first. So what counts toward receiving damage? Does item damage count, and can you get several stacks from a single ability? Well, let's have a look. Here's some footage of testing I did looking at interactions with items, and I'll slow it down so you can see that each of the Sunfire ticks are individually counting towards and stacking Titans. And here you can see that this also applies to the item damage dealt from other items like Ionic Spark and Shiv. So yes, item damage does stack Titans. Okay, so now let's look at how abilities can stack Titans. Samira's ult is one of the best ults to demonstrate this, as it can ricochet and deal multiple instances of damage to units. Watch this Vayne with Titans here. She has 10 stacks before she starts getting hit by Samira's ricochet damage. Whilst getting hit by Samira's ult, Vayne autos just twice, but she still manages to fully stack her Titans even before Samira's ult is finished. So it seems that each individual damage tick from Samira's ult is stacking Titans, which is kinda funny in this case because Vayne fully stacks Titans and hardly takes any damage from Samira's ult. But that leads into another question. Do abilities that deal 0 damage also stack Titan's Resolve? The best ability that can demonstrate this was Set 7's Bard, where his ability was an AoE stasis, but this ability dealt no damage to the enemy units. Okay, so looking at some old Set 7 footage, I found this clip. Here you can see Yasuo doing Yasuo things, and he gets hit by Bard's stasis, but he doesn't gain a single Titan stack. So abilities need to deal an instance of damage, even if it's just one hit point, for the Titan's holder to receive a Titan stack. Overall, your unit can get the Titan stacks much quicker than expected, especially if they're melee carries, as they can get several stacks from the small instances of damage they may be splashed by from other abilities or items, but they will not get Titan stacks from CC or abilities that deal 0 damage. Okay, so that should be the receiving damage side covered, so now let's have a look at how you can get Titan stacks from attacking. Of course, the simplest and most direct way to get stacks is from autoing. Here we can see that Vayne gets stacks right at the beginning of her auto animation. So as soon as the auto is released, your unit gets the stack from Titans, but they do not gain the damage until the next auto. This is demonstrated in this clip. bel'veth has 120 AD here, and Nyla reduces physical damage by 33%. So for the first 4 stacks of Titans, we should expect the damage in this table here. And watching the clip, we can see that bel'veth initially deals 112 damage, then 81, 83 and 84 before she starts ulting. That first instance of damage was a crit, so we can divide by 1.4 to see what the base damage was, and that is 80. So even though your unit gets a Titan stack as soon as they auto, they do not benefit from the bonus stats until their next instance of damage. Okay, so of course you may ask whether attacking extends to different types of damage like Sunfire, Shiv or Ionic Spark. And the answer to that is no, and we can see that here with this Jax. Sunfire is applied to the dummies and Vi, but Jax is not gaining any additional stacks whatsoever. This also applies to Ionic Spark and Shiv. But what about unit abilities? Do they count as attacks? And that depends on the type of ability. Generally, no. Titans usually doesn't gain any stacks when a unit casts, like here with MF, Viego, Lucian and Lulu. None of these units get a Titan stack when they cast their abilities. But I say generally because there are some abilities in TFT that do count as autos, and thus the units can stack Titans when they cast. You can see that Vayne here still gets Titan stacks when she ults, and there are several units that can get more than one stack during their ult channels. Examples of this in set 8 is Samira, Twisted Fate and bel'veth, as when they ult, they can get several Titan stacks from their cast. Likewise, these units can also get several Rageblade stacks. So the game registers these ults as multiple autos, as both Rageblade and Titans will gain multiple stacks from them. but the number of attacks during ults do not fully count towards a stack. This is clearer to see with Twisted Fate here, as his ults turn his autos into bright cards. You can see that Twisted Fate here only gains a Titan stack after every second card he throws. But this is slightly different for Samira, as she shoots 18 projectiles when she ults, but she doesn't gain a stack after every second projectile she launches. Rather, you can see that Samira gains a Titan stack after every second damage instance on Nyla. Overall, Nyla only takes 8 instances of damage, and so Samira only gains 4 Titan stacks. And I have no idea why the stacking is so different for Samira and Twisted Fate, but it does favour Twisted Fate as he gains the AD and AP sooner than Samira does, so his cards will gain a slight damage boost sooner. Whereas Samira gains the stacks much later and with several projectiles already in the air, so they don't gain the damage bonus. Although the difference is small, it's still noteworthy. Anyway, you may ask what happens when TF has an odd number of cards to launch or bel'veth has an odd number of extra autos. Well, that's where it gets even more interesting. TF can launch an odd number of cards, but the unit receiving the damage always takes an even number of damage instances. And this is the same case for bel'veth. Sometimes if bel'veth has an odd auto in her ult, it may seem like that odd instance doesn't do any damage, but the damage from bel'veth's third auto gets put into the second. So there's 2 damage instances, but the damage as if they were 3 and you're not losing any damage. So although some ults can stack Rageblade and Titans, there is some reduced effectiveness that is definitely intentional to limit items like Rageblade and Titans stacking extremely quickly on these types of units. So some abilities count as autos, which led me to wonder what happens if you enhance those autos. Going back to Vayne, I looked into Spreadshot Vayne to see if the additional bolts from the augment would also gain Titan stacks, and as we can see here, that is not the case at all. Also, you may think that Jin's 4th auto should also stack Titans or Rageblade, as his 4th shot is like an empowered auto. But it doesn't. Jin does not gain a single Titan stack with his 4th shot, even if it hits multiple units. And that means that this isn't actually an auto. The game believes that this is a cast. And as it turns out, the game registers Jin's ability as an AoE ability as its damage gets reduced by redemption. So overall, it does seem that the term attacking for Titans is strictly limited to autoing, as we've seen that this does not include damage from other sources like Spreadshot or Shiv. Although attacking does include some abilities, there's not really a way to tell which abilities gain these stacks until you or someone else tests it. So the best range user of Titans is probably Samira, because she has great AD and AP scaling with a low mana cost ult. Even though Twisted Fate can utilize the Titan's damage sooner during the ult, Samira uses the bonus AD far better with ordinary autos. Although I would rarely ever recommend giving these units Titans, as other damage items like Infinity Edge or Jeweled Gauntlet are just far better, and your backliners don't usually need the tankiness from Titans. But Titans is great on bel'veth because she can use that tankiness very well with a large HP pool. She innately gains more attack speed, so she can utilize the Titan's damage better, and she can get the Titan stacks very quickly with her ult's increased attacks. Also, you would think that since TF can get several Rageblade stacks during his ult, surely he must be the best Rageblade user in this set, right? Yeah, no, it's Kai'Sa, and it's not even close. Once Kai'Sa's ult starts stacking on itself, she completely leaves TF in the dust. So in summary, a Titan's holder can get stacks from receiving any individual instance of non-zero damage. Otherwise, the only other way to get stacks is strictly from their autos, or if their ability also counts as an auto. And that should be it. I've learnt a lot making this video. Titans is a really interesting item, and the interactions it has are equally as interesting. Before this, I didn't know some ults had autos that counted towards stacking these items. Also, you can use these stacking items to check if a unit's ult counts as an auto or not, and if it does count as an auto, then you know that this ability is not AoE. So I plan to use this information when set 9 comes out, and I'll make a list of how each unit's ult is categorized, AoE, auto, or neither. So make sure you subscribe for that. But yeah, let me know what you think. What do you think about Titans? Did you learn anything new from this video? Let me know in the comments and remember to subscribe. Anyway, check out these other videos if you want to see more from me, and as always, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.